from the Live-In Kitchen, and today I'm going to share with you 5 of my favorite vegetarian main dish recipes that you can serve at your Thanksgiving dinner. I know a lot of vegetarians will often just eat sides at Thanksgiving, and I'm definitely not knocking that. I love a plate full of mashed potatoes and vegetarian stuffing, but if you're missing that main dish component, I definitely think you'll fall in love with one of these recipes. These are my 5 most traditional Thanksgiving vegetarian recipes, but if you're looking for something more non-traditional for your meal, head over to my website after this video, and I have lots of other celebratory special meals you can make instead. Let's dive into showing you how to make these recipes. If you see one that you enjoy, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel so you can see more vegetarian recipes. First up is butternut squash risotto with kale. This is so rich and creamy. I actually think this tastes a lot like mac and cheese, so if you're gluten-free, this is a great alternative. It starts by roasting butternut squash with a little olive oil, salt, and pepper in the oven. While that's in the oven, you're gonna cook some shallots and garlic in olive oil. To that, you're gonna add 2 cups of arborio rice and stir it up. Then you're going to add some white wine and let that simmer and cook down a little bit. You should have 2 quarts of vegetable stock simmering in a separate pan off to the side. You're gonna add this 1 ladleful at a time and give it a stir. Let the rice soak up that liquid before adding another ladleful. You may not need all of the vegetable stock. You just wanna cook this for 20 minutes until it's nice and tender. Right before it's done, add a little more olive oil, and then we're gonna remove it from the heat and add some vegetarian Parmesan cheese, along with the roasted squash and 1 cup of torn kale. Give that a stir to let the kale wilt down, and you're ready to serve. This is so comforting, so delicious. I really think you're gonna love it. Next up is Thanksgiving baked tempeh. This is tempeh wrapped in butternut squash. It starts with a marinade made from tamari, apple cider vinegar, maple syrup, olive oil, garlic, and fresh herbs. Cut the tempeh into blocks of 4 and let it marinate for anywhere from 2 hours to overnight. Meanwhile, you're going to cut up a butternut squash. I'm cutting these super thin ribbons. You can see the vegetable peeler I used makes this pretty easy. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using a knife, but you could also use a mandolin. Lay these out on a baking sheet and brush both sides with melted butter. And you're just gonna bake these for 5 minutes. Now they're soft enough to wrap around your tempeh. You just wanna cover it completely. However many strips it takes is totally fine. And you're gonna bake this for 15 to 20 minutes. These make a really pretty presentation. You can top them off with a few more fresh herbs, and they're absolutely wonderful alongside mashed potatoes and stuffing. Next, we have Veggie Wellington, which is a real time investment, but totally worth it, especially if you want something impressive. It starts with roasting butternut squash in the oven with olive oil, salt, and pepper. Next, we're gonna melt some butter and add onions and carrots. I'm seasoning that with salt and pepper and adding a little light brown sugar to help with the caramelization. We're gonna finish this off with balsamic vinegar and some fresh sage and rosemary. Next, heat up some olive oil and cook shiitake and cremini mushrooms, along with shallot and garlic. I'm also tossing a few sprigs of fresh thyme in there, which come off super easy after they've cooked. Finish this up with some red wine, salt, and pepper. You always want to salt mushrooms after cooking instead of before. For another layer, we're heating up a little more olive oil and adding some garlic. To that, I'm gonna add 10 ounces of frozen spinach, some lemon juice, and nutmeg, salt, and pepper. Our final protein layer is walnuts and sunflower seeds, toasted and mixed with butter beans, panko breadcrumbs, and a little bit of vegetable stock. To this, you're gonna add the butternut squash and mix it together. Then we're rolling out 2 sheets of puff pastry. Lay the first one out on a baking sheet, and you can layer up your Wellington. It starts with the spinach, then the mushrooms. Next comes your protein layer, and we're topping that off with the onions and carrots. Place the second sheet of puff pastry on top and trim around the edges. You're gonna wanna go around and seal all of these edges. You can see how I turn up both edges and press with my finger to create a seal. I like to decorate the top with a few extra pieces of the puff pastry and finish it off with an egg wash to get it nice and golden brown in the oven. Let this rest for 10 to 15 minutes before slicing, and it really is an incredible show-stopping main dish. Again, great with mashed potatoes and so savory and filling. These savory vegetarian ham pies always disappear super fast. To get started, heat up some olive oil. We're going to cook a yellow onion with some honey, salt, and pepper to get them nice and caramelized. To that, we're going to add a clove of garlic, some crushed red pepper, nutmeg, and fresh thyme. Next, we're going to cook up cremini mushrooms. Mix those together with half a cooked acorn squash, a box of frozen spinach, some cheddar, and Havarti. I've taken a box of frozen puff pastry, thawed it out, and cut it into squares. We're going to add a scoop of filling to the middle and then use egg wash around the edges to seal that top half. You may need to stretch your square a little bit to get it to fit. You want nice, even edges, and I'm just using the tines of a fork to press it down and seal it together. Cut a few slits on top to vent the steam and brush egg wash all over the top to make them nice and golden brown. Bake them in the oven, and these will disappear so fast. They're a wonderful main dish. Everyone at your Thanksgiving is going to love them. Finally, I have lentil meatloaf muffins. These start with dry red lentils and vegetable stock. You're going to cook these a little more than you normally would for lentils. You want it to be a little mushy because we're just going to mash it all together. While that's cooking, add some breadcrumbs to a bowl along with milk. You could use a non-dairy milk if you prefer. And we're gonna let that sit and soak up for a second while we heat up some olive oil and cook an onion. I'm also adding 2 ribs of celery to this. And just add that to your breadcrumb mixture along with some walnuts, grated carrot, you could also use puree, and vegetarian Parmesan cheese. We're also adding ketchup, dried thyme, dried oregano, salt, and pepper, as well as our cooked lentils. Give that a good mix. You want everything evenly distributed. This is just like making a meatloaf, but with lentils. Pack these into muffin tins. We're going to top it with a combination of ketchup and balsamic vinegar. Spread this over the top. It's absolutely delicious. Wonderful, again, with mashed potatoes. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.